Boris Howat. I'm here with Veritas, and I'm on the Labyrinths in Higher Education Initiative. And we have many of our members here with us today of our initiative, which is also in partnership with the Labyrinth Society. So we have Don Matheny, our Executive Director, and Patty Kohler, our President of the Board of Veritas. And then we have Irene Plunkett, Tim Tinclay, Melissa Powers, Katya Markart, Dee Aker, and
And sellers.
oh, is Jan here? Oh, there she is. Great. Jan's able to make it. So welcome. So the Labyrinths in Higher Education Initiative is really an effort to support the introduction, creation, use, and awareness of labyrinths on campus. And that could be for students, staff, faculty, alumni, even the general public that may be on campus. So we've held a series of webinars and we've had panel discussions. And this time, as we're getting back to school, we thought we'd do something different, that we'd give you an opportunity to meet each other and to break out into small groups and share your experiences and questions that you have about working with the Labyrinth on campus. And we realize that you may be in many different places on the path. Some of you may just be aware of the Labyrinth and interested in bringing it to campus, but do not have a Labyrinth on campus yet. Some of you may be in the process of bringing a Labyrinth to campus or just introducing a labyrinth, either a new labyrinth or maybe there's a lonely labyrinth that needs reintroduction to the campus. And then some of you may be well experienced and with a labyrinth program that's in full swing, and you're working with students on a daily or weekly or monthly basis with the labyrinth. So we welcome you wherever you are on the path, and of course, sharing is optional. If you're just here to listen, that's fine as well. You can just listen to the conversation. So this is really meant to be informal, kind of meet and greet online, and our overarching intention for this webinar, or not webinar, for this meet and greet is to find out how the initiative can continue to support you with labyrinths on campus. So, what are your sticking points, or how would you like to grow? These are interesting things to consider. And we did create a couple of just general questions um, to offer as suggestions. So, if you have a labyrinth on campus, how is it used? And we realize today that could be handheld labyrinths as well as walkable labyrinths. So, if you have a labyrinth on campus, how is it used? Um, as this Veritas initiative in higher education continues, how can we continue to support you? Would you like more webinars, more meet and greets, more in-person trainings? Would you like a conference in person? Um, Other things? Would you like more panel discussions or I don't know, even materials? Hand finger labyrinth kits that we could sell you? And then finally, what do you have that maybe you can offer to others to support other people on other campuses and other universities? Because I've heard of many universities actually partnering on Labyrinth programs and comparing notes and sharing successes, and so that's really interesting as well. All right. Is there anything else I should say before I open the groups?
Just wonderful to see people from all over joining us today. There are a number of resources that our committee has developed on the Veritas website under the Higher Ed Initiative. And we'll make sure you get that information if you don't have it. We arbitrarily set up some breakout groups, And Lars, do you want to talk about what they are? And maybe we add one more category of uh, open.
Sure, yeah. So we have one breakout group for chaplains, counselors, and working with student health. We have a second breakout group for faculty, staff, and students. And then we have a third breakout group for bringing the labyrinth to campus. You're welcome to share as you like in the group, but we do have someone in each group that will be taking notes and then reporting back when we come back after the 20 minutes. Okay? So here we go. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to have a short, maybe 5-minute report back from each for the counselor, chaplain, and student health group. Tim, would you like to share a little bit of what people shared and the overall sentiment?
Sure. I actually got bumped off for a little bit, so I wasn't there for the entire conversation. And Rob, who was there when I was gone, came back and then he left. But we had a good conversation, a number of things that came up related to us. We talked a little bit about different styles that are used around campus, some questions as to what works and what's been helpful. In terms of what you could use from this group, some discussion about finding a balance between community space to just kind of be together and have discussions and ongoing didactic and teaching and presentation space. And we had kind of talked maybe about a monthly thing if somebody was willing to host and oversee that, maybe 1 month in kind of a community space and 1 month in kind of a teaching thing. Talked a little bit about the database of videos that already exist, but also some database for resources and curriculum and those kinds of things that could be useful. And we were just moving into a new conversation of how to use and how might the labyrinth be useful in response to and in sort of on anniversaries related to violence that's taking place on campus, and how that might be helpful or useful, and where we might find resources for that. I know my daughter had her first day of class for her sophomore year on Tuesday. And of course, part of her campus was shut down for a bomb scare. And so I think we're finding more and more of that. And how do we do with that? And how can we help with that? Sheila Spermelli was with us and then had to leave a little bit earlier in terms of what can you offer. And she was talking a little bit about a deconstructed 11th circuit system that she's kind of pulled together in terms of different stages that kind of happen repeatedly throughout life. And so we talked about that a little bit. And I just, if I could, open it up to the people in our group who might want to report on anything while I was gone.
One other thing that came up was how to gather some feedback without being requiring too much of participants. And so we discussed some simple ways to let people reflect, maybe before and after, or very simple feedback.
Thank you, Yadina. And in that discussion, perhaps something other people might talk about is how to discern when it's being used and how much it's being used. If you have an outdoor labyrinth, it's there, how do we know how much it's being used and whether or not it's being used and who's using it and those kinds of questions.
Great.
Even in an indoor labyrinth, we have a hard time because we don't want to have somebody sitting there just counting people as they come in.
Yeah.
Click, click, click.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Great. That was really helpful. All right. So the student, staff, and faculty group, Melissa?
Yeah, we had a really great discussion in our group, as I'm sure the others were. But the first thing I wanted to point out is the diversity of people that we had in our group. We had people from community colleges, universities, different disciplines. We had faculty emeriti, people in lifelong learning. Anyway, we had a really great discussion. The first thing we talked about just briefly was just ways in to a college and university. This was specific to teaching a labyrinth class. But we talked about some things like connecting with an existing group, whether that's a religious or spirituality group, a wellness group, finding a group on campus as a way in. There was also some discussion about the counseling center in that respect, and also using grant money for that. We spent most of our time talking about welcoming people to the labyrinth in reference to helping them find the labyrinth, know where it is, what it is, and what to do with it. And lots of good suggestions there. I know I'm going to miss some, so someone can fill in if I do, but I'll list them real fast. We talked about signage at the labyrinth, having a labyrinth website to direct people there. Doing sessions with the Teaching and Learning Center about what is a labyrinth to help people learn about the labyrinth, taking your students to the labyrinth, take your classes there, let other people know you're bringing your classes there, advertise, schedule regular events at your labyrinth. There was a Mindful Monday recommendation, and different types of experiences to attract different people. And so they can understand what different things they can do with the labyrinth. And then we also talked about persistence and how you just have to keep doing those over and over again.
Great.
And if
Excellent.
anyone has something to add, please feel free to do that.
All right. Well, how about bringing a labyrinth to campus? Dee Aker?
Yep. Hi. We also had a very robust discussion, lots of great ideas. And I think number one is finding some sort of sponsor very high up in the organization, be it the chancellor, president. Somebody mentioned that they talked to the president who wasn't interested, and all of a sudden got a call that he had assigned it to one of his people who knew nothing about it. So you never know when that's going to happen. Also, maybe to create some competition, show different campuses that labyrinths that already exist and say, hey, we want to do one better than them. I shared UC Merced. We have a wonderful Instagram. I could put it in there, and it's pretty fun. And we had trouble at UC Merced convincing people. Now it's the center of the campus, and people come from all over trying to see it. And that's what students, walk when they come, and then they walk when they leave with their families sometimes. You can talk about getting it on the map, literally. That'll be, on the Worldwide Labyrinth Locator, getting alumni connected with the project, either for funding or just kind of pressuring the campus to have a labyrinth on it, especially around mental health issues right now. Somebody mentioned school shootings. Just the mental health of students is a high concern. Also getting in maybe with the campus architect and trying to get their buy-in, because you probably will meet an architect on the campus who has to be involved and may or may not know anything about labyrinths. More than likely, they don't know anything about them. And then thinking about signage, dedication ceremonies, funding is another issue that can come. There's a lot of one-time funds on campuses, even though they may not have permanent funding. They usually can find one-time funding, be it for mental health. I used it around DEI, which I know campuses are having to kind of hide their efforts, I want to say. So a labyrinth and mental health issues is a good way to do that. Also Richard talked about involving the construction crew, who's actually going to do the work, and explain to them what they're putting together and getting them excited about it. And just realize there's probably going to be a lot of politics, because universities always have politics. So how do you navigate those? And again, that's why you find that sponsor. We also had stakeholder group that can pull from all the different areas y'all have already mentioned, and have them kind of be the ambassadors and talking it up around student health, around counseling centers, faculty as well, art departments, dance departments, music departments, even engineering departments. I got involved in that. And Lars and I both were very, wanted to make things accessible. So bringing in disability students, accessibility, and having that be a huge part of what we were creating. I don't know how much time we have, but if anybody else wants to.
I think that's great. That sounded wonderful. Thank you. And then Irene in the open conversation.
Well, this was so lovely, and I was so captured that my notes are not as detailed as they should be. So I will give it my best shot and invite the members of my group, please chime in. So happily, we had 2 people from Scotland, the rest from the States, and also 2 Margarets. So let me see what I can do here. Margaret Kerr from Scotland is an artist, and she is noticing in her area that there's a resurgent, or I don't know, it's an interest in labyrinths, especially for young school age, primary age children. And as an artist, she's become not only advocate, but a person who's supported that and done a lot of work with that. And also, a sub theme that emerged in our group was the tactile nature of the labyrinth, not just for young people, but for all people, including working with a hand labyrinth, which Susie and Margaret both talked about, like making your hand literally a labyrinth, and just generally using the labyrinth as a soothing and tactile tool is too strong a word, but help for students, especially young students. Margaret from Scotland also talked about using a feather. She just was inspired one morning to use a feather for people to trace the labyrinth and how powerful that was for people. Also, in the Women's Rural Society in Scotland, they have meetings from time to time, and somebody else mentioned, two people mentioned people claiming the labyrinth, adults and children, as their own and actually playing in it, using it for play space before or after or in lieu of a structured walk, which I thought was fascinating. Karen from Massachusetts talked about the use of canvas labyrinths, and I know this is something that Jan, who is also in our group, reminds us of from time to time, that, you know, canvas labyrinths can be a really good way of starting, organizing, explaining, educating. Margaret R. from Texas talked about her use with animals and the labyrinth. Animals who are trained to soothe students to be therapy dogs, and walking on the labyrinth with animals, which I regard as tactile as well as a dog person. And so that was fascinating, obviously. And I'm probably forgetting something. So my notes are just all over the place. But another thing that came up in our group, and this was especially with Margaret Kerr mentioned this, but others did as well, that she's seeing some work with people with dementia. And this is beyond education as well, obviously, but just again, being able to relate to that. So because we were seeing some work, especially in primary schools and with therapy dogs, but also just a reminder that sort of cradle to grave, the labyrinth can be helpful. And I invite my group to chime in. I'm sure there's something I missed here.
Susie.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to mention World Labyrinth Day in educational settings, which in 2026, we are, as a World Labyrinth Day committee, we are really trying to build a promotion of World Labyrinth Day in educational settings. And basically, it can be at any time, but the official day is May 1st, the first Friday in May of 2026. So we are looking for all kinds of ideas and ways to promote World Labyrinth Day in educational settings. I see the link being put into the chat. So hopefully people please communicate with us at the World Labyrinth Day Committee and let us know your ideas for how we can promote it.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. This sounds really wonderful. I'm happy to hear that you had rich conversations and that you're already interested in having more. So we'd like to share a couple of things. We have a survey that if you haven't filled out the survey yet, we invite you to take our Labyrinths in Higher Ed survey, and so we can get a better understanding of who we are reaching and how we can support you. And then we also have the Veritas Labyrinths in Higher Education initiative, which is our group that is hosting the webinars, gathering the resources, and planned this meet and greet. So it is at veritas.org /higher ed initiative. And this is just a quick look at it, but it has the recordings from past webinars. I think we've had 6 webinars. It has linked to Jan Seller's book, Learning with the Labyrinth, Creating Reflective Space in Higher Education. It has links to the Labyrinth Society research pages and bibliography, and then growing resources in contemplative pedagogy, and some examples from labyrinths in use on other campuses. And then just a little bit of general information about what is a labyrinth, bringing a Veritas program to your campus for students and faculty. And then if you would like to join us and become a member of the initiative, i.e. behind the scenes group planning and organizing these events, our next meeting will be on Wednesday, October 8th at 9 a.m. Pacific. And we don't have a link to that yet, but if you're interested in receiving that invitation to join the initiative, you can email lars@veritas.org, and you can join the working group. And then at that meeting, we'll decide about the next steps for our initiative. But in general, Veritas is beginning to offer some affinity and special interest groups. So I can imagine that we'll have another meet and greet later this fall. So is there anything else, Don, that you would like to share about the initiative, or Irene, or someone from our group?
Well, it's very, very exciting to see that the idea of the meet and greet seemed to work. We are always experimenting with the best way, and it seemed like our next step would be networking and in this form. So we'll at least do one more this fall to present the results of the survey and also put you in touch with each other. So if you are like a spider plant, if you are in touch with others on your campus or through other groups, please invite them to join us for our next meet and greet. So thank you so much for your time and attention today, and I hope you gained some networking here and can be in touch with each other as needed. And hopefully we'll see you at the next meet and greet.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Be well.